So recently, it seems like a lot of VTubers have been very upset with some recent kind of rule changes and some recent things that Twitch have added to the website, which has kind of changed a lot of things. And it's essentially the announcement that they're going to use content from people's channels to train generative AI content models across Amazon. So this is something that was put in there apparently by Amazon, who obviously, of course, they always want more data, right? But of course, a lot of people are worried because this was a opt-out kind of situation, meaning that if you didn't know that this was in there and in the settings and that this was a thing, you wouldn't know that actually they are training an AI based off of your content, based off of your streams, and potentially based off of your chats, right? So if you're a chatter too, you wouldn't have any clue whether they have it enabled or not, and whether you are being trained, or they're training off of your messages and things like that, which of course is a big problem, right? I think a lot of people have been very, very much against this, even people who like AI and things like that, because of the way that it's kind of been implemented. And yeah, as I said, this channel, we've been very, very 50-50 on things, and you guys have a lot of different opinions on AI. Some of you guys hate it, some of you guys love it, but I feel like even if you do love it, sorry, I think it is one of those things where, there should have been an opt-in thing rather than an opt-out. I feel like it should have been up to the creators to decide that, rather than banking on the fact that, thousands of people will just forget to click it and will forget or not even notice that it's there in the first place, right? Which obviously is a big problem. But a lot of VTubers have been speaking out about this, and we actually covered this over on my main channel. If you go, well, I say main channel, it's my other channel. It's the one that I started up first, but of course we're now doing more like kind of general drama stuff. So if you want to go and follow that, it will be kind of more content like this, but we're going to be talking about stuff like that happens with like Twitch and gaming and all this other stuff, right? But yeah, essentially a lot of VTubers have not been happy though. Obviously Buff Pup saying, how about you see what your community wants instead of ignoring the huge backed petition everyone signed to not have this? But yeah, you won't, because you're corrupt like every single CEO. Obviously Camilla saying L, Shoto saying, can I ask why this is on by default and you're making people actively opt out rather than vice versa, when many community members have constantly vocalized against this development? Obviously Lucy Pye saying, thanks, we all asked for this feature and it's super ethical that it's on by default, which obviously is, yeah, the big problem that people have been having. So it should be opt-in, sorry, not to have opt-out. Shouldn't have it in the first place. Okay, now remove it completely. So yeah, a lot of people have not been happy with this, and a lot of VTubers as well not happy with this change. But recently there's been a big debate that's been sparked on from this kind of post. This is why I'm making this, because I know I already made this video on my other channel, but there's been another post that's come out which is much more kind of centric towards VTubers due to the amount that we talked about this on this channel, which is Fansly. And obviously we talked about the booth and everything that they had over at Offkai and how much of a problem it was, that it was in the middle of the main convention kind of hall or whatever, exposed to children. But of course, yeah, they essentially put out this post saying the list keeps getting bigger, and pretty much posting the differences between Twitch and their site, and how much kind of better it is, right? And we'll go over why, whether it's better or not. So obviously Twitch, you can see they got 50-50 revenue split, one of the worst splits out of a lot of the streaming platforms, and they use your content to train AI. I mean, yeah, it sucks, right? Obviously, then Fansly, they say they don't use your content to train AI, 80-20 revenue split, discovery via the For You page, DMCA protection, streaming quality same as Twitch, you can be blank all you want, which obviously, or if you want, sorry. Now, again, it does sound like a good kind of deal, right? You get a better revenue split, you don't get your content trained on, all of this kind of stuff. That's great and everything, but I don't feel like this is a platform that you could actually switch to from Twitch, right? If this was another company, maybe, that was kind of focused on streaming and things, I think 100%. But we all know the main kind of content that takes place over on this website. And I think that obviously it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all, because you're going, let's be real, you're going onto Fansly to essentially, do that kind of stuff, right? I mean, there's no other reason as to why somebody else would go on it. Nobody's going to be loading it up because they want to watch the next like gaming stream or someone playing like, I don't know, Apex Legends or something. Like nobody's going onto that website. Let's be real. And I think obviously the reputation that is kind of built up, and the obviously the way that they've the type of content that is heavily featured on the platform is obviously something that is not going to help other content creators grow on it if you were to make the switch over. Now, you know, because again, you could imagine, right, for example, this For You page, someone is going onto this website, right? Someone is going onto this website, and we all know the main reason people go onto this website. They're going to be scrolling for the For You page. What do you think they're more likely to click on? Some kind of, you know, explicit video of someone, or someone playing a game of CSGO on stream? Well, they're going to be clicking on the explicit thing, right? They're just not going to be, they're not going to be interested in some dude like gaming or like doing reacts or whatever, right? Because it just won't be as popular, right? People aren't on the website to do that. And I think that is why it is not a valid kind of website to really be switching to if you are looking to be a streamer. As I said, there's many other options, including like Kick and YouTube and things like that, which I definitely do think that if you are a VTuber, by the way, you should be switching to multi-streaming. I think that, you know, doing it on, you know, you can use things like Atom, for example. It's a free plugin. It will literally let you stream on multiple things with multiple screens. And you can have a vertical one, which allows you to stream to things like YouTube Shorts and TikTok, which is a huge boost of viewership. So yeah, multi-streaming, I think, is the way to go, really. You know, because again, you can have way more reach, and you can also get in the money that comes from multi-streaming too. So like multi-stream to Kick, multi-stream to YouTube, multi-stream to YouTube Shorts and to TikTok. Do all of those at the same time, because you can do it now. There are tools to do it. Just literally search it up. You know, do that instead. I think that is honestly the best way to do it. And then obviously, you know, if you do end up, if things end up going south with Twitch, right? Then of course you do have the slight platform to jump, right? I'm not saying like all of your platforms are suddenly going to start, you know, boosting in revenue or boosting in popularity the moment you start multi-streaming, right? But I do think it does give you that option that you do have a slight kind of community there, and people know that you at least have another account, just in case that, you know, maybe like Twitch introduces like 70-30 split where they get 70% or something, right? That's when everybody's going to start to jump ship. So at least you already have that platform made. And of course, as well, it's just extra revenue, right? From going on to other streams and things. Saying, when will you get a Discord integration? I want to get my fan subs access. Saying, hi, I've been streaming on Twitch for 11 years and I'm heartbroken. You won't hurt me like this. I am considering. Now, I think that potentially if you want to do this as a multi-streaming option, I think that's fine, right? If you want to do it on this website as a multi-streaming option, you know, you can always throw it into the hat. I think the thing is with multi-streaming, you are never really risking anything, right? If you were to switch completely from Twitch to a new platform, then you're risking a lot, right? Because people, you know, might not know that you're switching over. You're probably going to lose a lot of viewership and stuff like that. Whereas if you're multi-streaming, you keep, you know, your Twitch audience while also, you know, potentially getting more viewers through other different platforms, which again, I think is obviously pretty risk-free. So if you want to add this to your list, you know, despite me thinking that, you know, this will not really help you grow at all due to the nature of the website and due to the content that the people actually want on this website, you know, I think honestly, you know, it could be worth a shot, but at the end of the day, I just don't think you would really grow from posting content on Fansly, right? It's kind of like going onto TikTok and like watching a long form video. It's just like nobody's really going to be watching it unless it's something like interesting, like one of those like cop body cam videos. You guys ever get those? Like you get kind of locked into it for like an hour. But like apart from that, right? You know, you don't see anybody uploading their like, you know, YouTube videos to you know, TikTok or anything like that, because that's just not the place for it to go, right? And that's the same with Fansly, right? You know, kind of regular streams isn't the place to really go to on that website, right? Saying, didn't you cave to payment processors? So yeah, saying this is why I love Fansly. I said, did you guys ban furry content because the payment process was going to take you guys out back? I don't know. I've never heard about that, but again, I think a lot of people aren't so keen on switching over, but it is definitely an interesting topic that has gotten a lot of views. It's got 3.7 million views, so of course lots of people have been discussing it, but it is interesting, right? And of course I don't expect any, you know, huge mass migration over to this website or anything, but it is interesting that they have tried to promote it in this way, and try to get people to join, right? But yeah, that's essentially all I got for this video. If you guys did enjoy it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, go to GameStop, use my code Kazza, get 10% off. Again, they got a ton of really cool stuff over there. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.